In March 2020, unaware of the worsening virus situation, my family from Bristol planned a 2-day trip to Combe, hoping for a brief escape. We packed for 3 days and set off, enjoying a barbecue. Before starting our journey, with Clara and me asleep as Dad drove and Mom navigated. At 1 a.m., the police informed us of a sudden lockdown, preventing our trip to Combe and any return to Bristol. Directed to a nearby cottage, we had to stay put and await further government instructions. The old, isolated cottage had 6 empty rooms, which worried us, but Clara and I were excited. Despite a brief power outage, we had dinner, played Ludo, and Dad carried Clara to bed when she fell asleep. 10 minutes later, Clara screamed loudly, claiming she saw an old lady in the washroom. Dad laughed, dismissing it as a dream, and stayed with Clara for the night while I slept with Mom. In the morning, Dad felt unwell with a high fever and cough. Mom gave him medicine and stayed with him while he napped. Clara and I went outside to explore, but Clara expressed her discomfort, insisting she had really seen someone in her room. After an hour, the weather worsened, and it started raining, so we returned to the cottage. We found Dad with a high fever and severe cough. Mom told us to keep our distance because Dad's virus test was positive. We began crying as Mom held our hands and blew kisses before Dad locked us in separate rooms. Clara begged not to be alone, but Mom didn't open the door, and we could hear them coughing. Mom's attempts to call a doctor were unsuccessful due to the rain. There was no signal in the cottage, isolated 5 kilometers from the city. As night fell, Clara and I grew scared and begged Mom to unlock the door. In the morning, relief washed over us when we saw her open it. At 3 a.m., I heard Clara talking softly and asked, "And what? Who are you with?" "And what?" she replied. "And what? Leo, it's just me and Mom." "And what?" I called out for Dad, but Clara assured me, "And what? He's outside getting food. Mom can't talk much because she's still recovering." "And what?" After hours of waiting, I turned to Clara and said, "And what?" "I'm starving, and Dad isn't back yet. Can you check with Mom on his return?" "And what?" Clara assured me, "And what?" Mom said Dad is looking for food in this new place. "And what?" As the clock struck 6 p.m., I heard faint voices outside and desperately shouted, "And what? Is anyone there? Please, help us. Open the door." "And what?" When the door finally opened, a policeman stood there and asked, "And what? What's your name?" "And what?" I answered, "And what? I'm Leo. My family and I have been trapped here since the lockdown began. My parents have been sick for 2 days, and a doctor advised separating us to prevent the virus from spreading. My sister and Mom are in the room across from me, and my dad went out to find food." "And what?" When the police opened the door, a strong odor filled the room, and I found Clara lifeless on the floor. They told me she had passed away the previous day. Rushing to the living room, I discovered my parents had also died. Overcome with grief, I cried out in despair. The police took their bodies, and I was sent to a 15-day quarantine at the hospital. Now, living alone in the house, I still hear Clara's voice, but no one believes me when I say she's still here.